Byron showed courage was family.
Probably that was his weak spot. Family.
Yeah.
Exactly, like
really cares about it. But he always says he doesn't care about
Weak
them.
spot.
But the truth is that he does.
No,
He does
in
care
the
about
beginning
him.
of the story, he said that he's growing up. That's why he's acting like that.
Yeah, like teenagers, you know that they don't care if they give them the punishment. Like they just don't care.
That's why they send him to
It don't
Birmingham.
hurt them.
With the grandma.
He just really cares about his family. So probably.
But he doesn't want to show it because he thinks he's
since
cool.
he's called Daddy Cool, doesn't want to show Bobhead that he cares about his family.
Exactly.
Maybe that's why.
The way I see a Socratic Seminar is that students are discussing a topic. It allows them to go in depth and to really discuss some of those inner workings of the text that they might not when they're just being asked comprehension questions. It gives the students a chance to discuss with one another, to build on each other's ideas, and I think most importantly, it shows them what an academic discussion is versus a fight or an argument, how they are used to arguing with each other. All of my students are ELD. Right now, about 2/3 of my class has been reclassified. The other third, I have like 2 beginning students, and then the other ones are around intermediate level. I have about 4 or 5 GATE students in the class as of now. I think this is going to be a great way for students to be able to discuss with each other. I know that's a big part of Common Core, citing textual evidence, as well as how a theme is conveyed through details in a text. And my goal for them to learn was to be able to use textual information in their discussion to provide evidence for their claims. We were reading the novel The Watsons Go to Birmingham, 1963, and that's actually a text that I just chose because it was so rich in many of the things. It has history and then just the themes overall. The kids can really relate and they love the book. We've been working with this book for, I would say, about 2 months. And the Socratic Seminars I use randomly throughout, depending on what the topic is. If the students are very excited and I can see that they have questions and they're starting to question things, then we stop and we do a Socratic Seminar because they already want to discuss, and that makes them more engaged and more apt to go on with the discussion and have a lot to say. What I'd like to do, like they say, why reinvent the wheel? So if I pick a book, I try to look for a teacher's guide that they might have online. So I found a good guide, and all it has is just a list of comprehension questions. And I use those to give me an idea. So if it's a question that's related to a good topic that I know it'll grab my students right away, I just change it a little bit. So I think the question for this one was just, how does Kenny display courage? So I thought, well, that was really good. But that's not really necessarily great for a discussion because there has to be differing opinions, and that was just going to be really just one right answer. So I changed it and just said, which character shows most courage? Because even they picked up on, well, she has too. She shows courage, he shows courage. So that allowed conversation, okay? Does everybody know where they think they're going to put their sticky? Yes. Okay, so I'm going to give you 30 seconds to go up there and put it in the place you believe it goes. One thing that I hadn't done before that I decided to do this time was an anticipation sort of question for them. What do you think now from just yourself, what you've read and what you've thought? And that's where they had their sticky, and they put which character they thought showed the most courage. Then after that, I had already picked their partners, who they would be listening to and who would be in the inner circle or the outer circle. I had a mix of students. They weren't all the high students in the circle. Some were shyer students, and some are students that maybe are better at expressing than writing down. Also, we're talking about the theme courage. Remember that. Which character shows the most courage? And give examples from the text. My goal this time also is to hear you guys asking each other questions as well. You heard that that's one of the things on the rubric. So if somebody says something and you don't agree, you can ask them a question, because then I'm going to step back and you guys are in charge of the conversation. You guys decide. I'm out. Go ahead, start your conversation. I think one tip would be, especially when you're beginning, to just let it flow, let the kids talk. I know even this time I had to wait a little while for the kids to start it, and I really wanted to just tell them something and prompt them myself. But I held back and I waited, and they did it themselves. It was very slow to begin, but then it went. So I think patience is number one.
Kenny has to deal with his fears in order to survive, like whirlpool.
The kids will get there. The first 2-3 times might not go so well, but they will get there.
Kenny mentioned that he got hypnotized when they were about to burn him.
Yeah. And then I also think he's caring about the family since Bubhead is not there. And he knows that Bubhead doesn't know.
So Bubhead,
So you can't use it. So Bubhead can't use his weakness against him.
Yes.
Bubhead is not a real friend.
But what if Bubhead shows up right there?
He's another person with Bubhead, and he's with his family.
Well, then maybe because the grandma's there, maybe he'll follow the grandma. Like he will be
But
nicer.
Byron is acting like that because
I know, but
Bubhead is not there.
But if Bubhead comes and visit him there with his grandma, then maybe he will still be nice because his grandma's there and he's scared of the grandma.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay.
He did that with his parents still.
I know, but he's not afraid of his parents. He is afraid of the grandma.
Then why do you think he got hypnotized when he was about to burn his fingers?
Because he was about to burn them.
Because he was scared.
At first, I was facilitating a lot more. So I was having the students, I was asking more questions to get them talking because they did have a lot of quiet periods. And I would start it for them. I might directly ask a student a question versus waiting for them to ask each other or to start the discussion. The students on the outside circle, they have a rubric. So their role is to listen to their assigned partner that's inside the circle. And while they're listening, they're checking off the different parts of that standard, which is the speaking in collaborative participating in collaborative discussions. What I've been doing and what I try to do is take notes on my own of some of the things that students say. Their participation is, I think, what's most of the grade, and what they're doing for the outside circle. I look at the rubric, make sure they were listening. So really, I think mostly I assess on speaking and listening. My goal was to get you guys to ask more questions, and I heard a lot of questions. I heard a lot of prompting for some of our shyer students. So that was really good, and the fact that the shyer students talked and didn't shun down from that. Vanessa?
I had another one that maybe Kenny was being brave because you know how some people, when they're scared, they're afraid to do something, and he was kicking and kicking the whirlpool.
No, he was just scared. He just scared that he was gonna die.
When he really, won't you ever do
He
that?
was showing a little bit of bravery.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Zero.
But Byron showed a lot.
I know, but Byron's the most brave.
Vanessa, if you were drowning, won't you try to swim up?
Yeah.
To not drown?
Yes,
But most people
would.
everybody would do that.
But most people won't try to like.
But then once they get going, I can't stop them. What happened today, I try to stop it and they just have to keep going. So and it's only the 4th time, so I think it works pretty quickly. They want to talk. The kids are desperate to discuss, and they like this a lot better than just answering questions on a sheet of paper. Some of you had Mom, nobody had Dad or Joey. Now that you've had the discussion and you've heard evidence from the text from everybody, I heard you guys trying to reach a consensus anyway. But after you guys return to your seats, as you're returning and moving your chairs, if you need to move yours because you've changed your mind after hearing evidence and discussing it, then I would like you to move yours.